Hello and welcome to Team USA Alumni Spotlight. My name is Robbie Fulton. I am the manager of alumni relations with the USOPC. And in our first Team USA Alumni Spotlight, we have Cassidy Lichtman joining us to talk about her experience as a Team USA athlete and now being a part of the inaugural Team USA Alumni Class of 2025. Cassidy currently serves as the Vice President of Volleyball and Athlete Engagement at Athletes Unlimited. She was just newly elected as Chair of USA Volleyball Board of Directors. We covered being a Team USA athlete, life after sport, transitioning out of sport, mentorship, and what it means to be a part of the inaugural Team USA Alumni Class of 2025 under the new Team USA athlete eligibility definition. Hi, Cassidy. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Robbie?
Good, good. First, I want to say congratulations on your election as chair of USA Volleyball Board of
Thank
Directors.
you. Thank you.
Obviously, you are serving in the current role of Vice President of Volleyball and Athlete Engagement for Athletes Unlimited. You want to just tell the viewers a little bit about what you're doing, what you do on a day-to-day, and what that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I was a player in Athletes Unlimited in the professional volleyball league when it started in the US. For the first couple of years, we run pro sports leagues in softball and basketball also. And then I transitioned over to the staff side a few years ago, so I run kind of all volleyball for AU and do some athlete engagement across the board for our sports. And then yeah, I've been on the board for USA for 6 or 7 years now, and was just elected chair, which is crazy. But I'm excited about it. So there's a lot of work there in terms of kind of the board and talking with our CEO and strategizing and all that.
For sure, for sure. And it's I gotta extend another congratulations on being a Team USA alum underneath the new Team USA
Yeah.
eligibility definition. And that's kind of what we'll talk about today. But the first question, just thinking back on your time as a Team USA athlete, what stands out most for you with those teams, with the travel, however you want to slice it, just to give the viewers a little bit of insight.
Yeah, I mean there's so much. It's such a distinct experience. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who is currently on the national team, and we were just talking about like the being in that environment where you're just surrounded by the best every day is so unique, and where everyone there is, they're about their business and they're coming in every day to try to be the best in the world at something. And I think that teaches you something like most people never get to learn,
For
to
sure.
understand the scope of that, and that you're really trying to be better than the other, 7 billion people in the world at this thing, and the dedication that takes. And so I think what stands out to the national team most to me is like that pursuit of excellence balanced with like a joy and like a freedom. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna like be in warm-ups and getting ready, but like somebody's dancing over there and like we're having a
Yeah.
good time. And so being able to kind of balance that and like love what you're doing while trying to perform at that level, I think is what stands out to me really about that experience.
For sure. And just talking about that balance a little bit and what we do under Team USA Alumni in our department is always reaching out to people who have the athletes that have went through this shared experience, right? And like how did that viewpoint change from when you were competing to now? And like, did you really live in that moment where you present, or now do you look at it and like, man, I should have did this, I should have did that? Like, what does that feel like as a Team USA alum?
Yeah, I think I was pretty present. Like I think I was really lucky in that I understood that I was living the dream while I was living it. And it's
Yeah,
so, it's really hard, obviously. Like it's just a really difficult thing to do. To grind at that level every day and to kind of push yourself. And to be and it's a really intense environment where, in our sport at least, like you're basically in a tryout, every day of your life, just trying to stay on the team. And then you
hmm
also have to go try and beat Brazil and Russia and China. And so it's a super intense environment, but I was always so grateful. Just, I think I wasn't that kid who everybody was like, she's, a freak athlete. She's definitely going to make it there. So I think I had that sense of gratitude and like, this is really cool that I'm here, um, even while I was doing it. But I've definitely also had teammates who maybe didn't didn't share that, and I
Yeah.
wonder if they look back and are like, that was actually pretty cool,
Yeah,
or have mixed feelings about it. I don't know, but
right.
yeah, I think if you approach it kind of from that lens, it's healthier.
For sure, for sure. Like when you were competing, just like a reflection tool, right? When you were competing, do you think you had the support that you needed in that moment to kind of transition to life after sport, or was that more something like you had to kind of do it on your own?
I think I had some support. I think where I was luckiest is we had a great psychologist on the national team who worked with us at the time, Michael Gervais, who worked with the Seattle Seahawks, like
Mhm.
NFL teams, and so they really impressed upon us the importance of having it like understanding your identity and not tying that directly into the sport. And that's one of the biggest struggles of athletes coming out is like, wait, all I am is a volleyball player. So if I'm not that, what am I? And so I didn't think that I had that kind of existential crisis
Yeah.
coming out of sport, in part because of that. Um, and I think that there were probably tools that I maybe could have used more while I was a current athlete. I think it's so hard for current athletes to be like, oh, I'm going to take these classes or I'm going to do this because you're so focused on what you're doing.
For sure.
Until the moment when you have to transition, you're like, oh shoot, where am I going next? So yeah, I would say like from like a personal development level, I had a lot of support. From a professional development level, I probably had more than I used.
Mhm.
But yeah, probably could have prepared better for the actual career transition.
For sure, for sure. And like looking back, as a Team USA athlete, you have these benefits at your hand. And the alumni relations team is an umbrella or under the umbrella of the athlete development engagement team, the ADE team, that do a really good job of implementing education, grants, programs, all of that. Can you just speak to some of those programs that you may have taken advantage of?
Yeah, I would say there's two main ones. One was when I initially retired from the national team. I did the ACE program.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's still called that, but it's like the athlete. What's it called now?
It's ADE now. We're the
80.
ADE,
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
and
so I
like
did
like
so
you
I did
said,
that and it was
yeah.
great. We did an in-person kind of day or two. There was a kind of a cohort after that, and probably the most critical thing for me at that time was there was a career coach that we were assigned to. And I think, in the initial transition that's so helpful because you're literally like just what jobs exist? How does this work? How do I
Yeah,
look for that? So that kind of like resume help and job search and talking through, what do you want to do? I think that was super helpful. Um, and then recently it's been Guild. I just actually a couple weeks ago got my MBA, just graduated.
congratulations.
Thank you. So I think that was a few years after I was done playing, but I think when you come out of that transition and you're like, okay, I'm going to start working. And then I was like, wait, here's my kind of gap in skills. Is this like really kind of technical business side? So to be able to have that to go back to, within that kind of 10-year window was super helpful.
For sure.
So yeah, those are the two main ones I think I took advantage of.
Good, good. And then like you mentioned a little bit of that like transition piece, and transition in general is tough, right? Sport to
Hmm.
work, team to team, sport to
Hmm.
sport, whatever it looks like for people, right? Can you just speak about like the experience that may have helped you during that transition phase?
I think the career coach was a big one on just the technical side of it, like
Hmm.
how do I actually do this? Um, I think what helped me was I had some people who were like, "Hey, what do you like really think about what you loved about being an athlete? Because it's not just, I love going out and playing and hitting a ball. Like I loved the national team at the time that I was on it. It was super innovative. Like we were pushing kind of the sport forward. When I said it like that pursuit of excellence piece of it, like there's other pieces that go in there. For some athletes, it might be like, I love having a routine. And so just kind of, there are people who encourage me like, figure that, like write some of that stuff down. Like, what do you enjoy about that? And then kind of what are the things that, you don't even get paid to do necessarily right now, but that like if you're going to go read an article, what's it about? Like what are the things that that kind of like you perk up and you're like, oh, I'm interested in that.
For sure.
If you're starting from scratch, some people are like, yeah, I know I always wanted to go like be a teacher. I'm gonna go back and do that. And but if you're not that person, like I wasn't, then I
Yeah.
think those kind of tools of like, okay, start to think about the things, the directions that might help. And then, you can go back to the career coach and be like, okay, I think it was these few things and how do I get into that? And so I think that was helpful for me.
For sure, for sure. And if anybody does a quick Google of you, right, they see volleyball first, right? And
Yeah.
then the next biggest thing is athlete advocacy. Can you just speak a little bit about where that came from through your career, where that start, and like how did it take off to the way that or to be in the place that you are now?
Yeah. I mean, I think it started with with college and the national team. I think in both of those settings I had coaches who really um encouraged me to like have an opinion about what we were doing and speak. Karch Karai was my coach on the national team, legendary volleyball player, multiple time gold medalist. And he was always kind of asking me like, what do you think? What can we do better? So I think those people of that stature, like encouraging you to have a voice, is really helpful. And then as Athletes Unlimited started, there's like a real emphasis on the voice of the athlete and the power of the athlete in that space, um, from kind of the business side of it too. So I think those two things really kind of collided for me to go, okay, like I should understand that like my voice is important. And then the opportunity to go sit on the USA Volleyball board, I think was big also. I'm an athlete rep, so I was elected by the indoor female athletes in volleyball. And it's when you're how old was I? When I was like in my late 20s when I got on the board, maybe 30. And it's not like that's a normal thing that you're gonna go just like get put on a board, if especially like coming out of sports. And um so I think being put in that room,
Mhm.
and you start to go, okay, like I actually have a perspective that matters, and like I can hang with these people
For sure.
and in this conversation. So I think that is a really unique opportunity for USA athletes that doesn't you don't normally get outside of that.
Yeah, yeah. And just speaking to again to the transition to the athlete advocacy, we always say being a Team USA alum is inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. It may
Hmm.
not be in the next 10 years, it may 20, 30, however long you want to continue to compete, but at some point you're going to join this community. So like what about being and we understand that this is the inaugural group, but what pride comes with being a Team USA alum?
It's huge. I mean, I think it's such a big part of our lives when we're in it, and it's like you're always connected. I mean, the same as even maybe more so than like your university. I was at Stanford for 4 years and the national team longer than that.
Mhm.
And and you put so much of like yourself into that. Like you really have to kind of fully commit to it. Um, so I think on one hand, it's just like gratitude of like the recognition of that you put that much into it and that you are still part of this community. But yeah, I think it's something you always identify with after is like a key part of your journey. And it's such an incredible network. Like those are people that understand, something that you did where nobody else will really ever kind of fully understand it. And so,
Sure.
even going through something like the ACE program when I went through it, it was like one of the coolest things was just to be in that with other athletes from other sports because we don't get the opportunity outside of, a Pan Am Games or an Olympic Games
For
for the
sure.
most part. And so, you realize when you're in those rooms, like, oh, like I get these people, like these are my people. So I think all of that is amazing. And so to be able to kind of extend that beyond the kind of 10-year rule and everything and continue to kind of identify as a Team USA alum is, yeah, it's really cool.
For sure, for sure. And the ADE team, we have just launched a career platform, really honing in on the job search athlete or for Team USA athletes, and then also having a component of mentorship for Team USA alum to mentor Team USA athletes. Can you just speak a little bit if you have done any mentorship? Or if you have had a mentor that has helped you get into this space of athlete advocacy and business and professionalism.
Yeah, for sure I've had a lot of mentors. Fewer, I'm still like pretty young and like new in my career path. But like coaches, as I said, as I was coming up, and then as I started to get into the business world, the people in there, our psychologist in the national team, I think he helped me during the transition. He was one of those people who was like, let's talk about the things that kind of light you up. And and then yeah, like the people I work with now, our leadership at Athletes Unlimited, has been really incredible in that of saying like, yeah, you can be an athlete or a former athlete and get into business, and that's like a linear path to
Sure.
take. Um, and then yeah, I really try, especially now that I get to work with so many athletes, to try to pass that along, both in terms of like um, making sure they know the resources available to them and like,
Yeah.
hey, you should really think about this before you get done.
Right.
Um, and then if they are going to transition, like, okay, we can talk about, I can help you think through, where you might want to go next. Um, but also just giving them, the confidence and like,
Mhm.
I get to see all of these athletes, in their athletic careers, and you get to see how incredible they are and like all of the skills they have, physically, but also, how they are as teammates and leaders. Um, and so seeing that and being able to tell them like, no, like you should have a voice, like you need to speak up, in this meeting, in this whatever, as new athletes come onto the board or whatever it is, like your opinion is important, um and we need to have it. And it's, I think, one of the reasons that I, you know, agreed or considered kind of running for the chair spot is that I'm the first athlete rep to be the chair of USA Volleyball. And I was like, given that I care about athlete advocacy, it's like, how do you not do that if, you have the opportunity to do it?
Yeah, can you just speak a little bit about that and like what that means to you being the first athlete in that space? Because I think it's huge, and what we hear on the ADE team and what we want to take in the most is what the athletes want, and we want to help them on the field of play and off of play. So if you could just speak to like what it means for you to be the first athlete in that role.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool. Again, like given that that's been a focus for me, at least probably in my athletic career, but definitely since I retired. Um, the fact that we haven't had one is not shocking because, again, current athletes are so focused on what they're doing. Even after you come out, you're like, am I really prepared to kind of go and be a board chair? Also, most board chairs are a little older than I am. So they've been like CEOs and everything
Yeah.
else. Um, but yeah, so I think the opportunity to take that on and represent the athletes in that seat is so important. I think it's important for our athletes and for USA Volleyball, but also, Team USA. I think athlete advocacy is such a big topic right now across the sports industry, in the pro leagues and everything. And so for Team USA to lead in that space and to have athletes who are at the forefront of it, I think is super important because it is, Team USA, all eyes are on Team USA at some point.
For sure, for sure. And then like my last question, just thinking about being a part of that inaugural class, like we already mentioned. Um, under this new definition, how would you say to the Team USA athletes that may be coming up on their last year or 2 years, how important it is, one, to take advantage of those benefits, but also stay a part of this community of shared experience?
Yeah, I tell them it's super important on all levels. Like you said, as people with shared experience, like on an emotional level, I think that's really helpful. And just in terms of the support system, to have, you're not going to use every tool and every resource, but it's one of, you get a lot of emails in a day, and it's like one of the emails that I always read through because I'm like, maybe there's some cool stuff in here.
Yeah.
And when you're coming out of sports, like you don't necessarily always have that full support system around you. And so for people who, aren't entirely sure where they're going, what they're doing, or even if they are, to just kind of stay checked into it and to understand what's available and how it can help in your, life and career, I think is super important. And you get, like I said, you get to stay connected to Team USA, which is such a huge part of your life. And like I think for most people, they're really proud being a part of that. And so, yeah, I think that's great. And like to extend it, to alumni, beyond what it was before is so cool.
For sure, for sure. And then last question, I promise. Any suggestions for us at the USOPC, especially the Team USA Alumni Department, from what you've seen in your work capacity of like how we can build this thing up and what would be something that adds value for Team USA alum?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think what we already have is great. I think what you said about mentorship is absolutely right. What's been interesting to me about the kind of career path and transition is like definitely the hardest part is that initial kind of you get out of sport, what am I doing?
Hmm.
But then there's also kind of phases of it where you're like, like I said, I went back to Guild and was like, I need more skills. So I think even as you get into your career, I went pretty fast from like athlete to executive. And so sometimes I feel like I'm in the middle part of like, yeah, I'm able to be a mentor to people, but like I need mentors still.
Yeah.
And there are other programs, I'm kind of most locked into, women in sports and women's sports, but so there are other programs kind of in that vein that already do that maybe Team USA can just link into.
Hmm.
Um, but I think, that's an interesting thing is, once you get people through the initial transition, like, and then they're in that point where it's like, okay, I'm working and I'm in a job, but I still feel like I'm kind of, just an athlete still. And like, how do I get to the next level? Not that just an athlete is bad, but you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think that kind of secondary transition, uh, or kind of ascent through your career, now that this is, for alumni who are further along too, is could be helpful too.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Cassidy. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And again, congratulations on the much success that you're having right now and you will continue to have. And I appreciate you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate what Team USA does for us, and it's been super helpful.